Alrighty, everybody. This is Taylor McLean with Century 21 Prosperity and Tina Swanger with Remax Properties and leader of the Peak Success team. And this is the Team TNT Radio podcast. Let's get into today's episode. So, we're going to get into the topic of getting out of your own way and finding success in life by avoiding self-sabotage, essentially. And I feel like a lot of us do struggle with that. I mean, self-doubt, fear of failing, perfectionism, people-pleasing, all the things. So, what getting out of your own way really means is realizing that you can't control everything all at once. It's really impossible to do something like that. Very ambitious, and we admire that in you. But you also have to just come to the terms with the fact that we are not fully capable of controlling everything in our life. And so, we wanted to get into this topic to help other people who are struggling with this, other business owners, entrepreneurs, or just parents, professionals who are struggling with this. So, yeah. So, Tina, what are some common barriers that you see in others, but also that you may have experienced as far as finding success?
Well, I'll tell you, it's real easy for me to look at everybody else and find out their flaws. Yep. Uh-huh. I can sit there and diagnose everybody as far as what their challenges in life are and what their barriers are and why they are not successful. But when I look deep inside of me, I cannot understand why things are not going my way. I don't understand why, if my mind says I want to achieve this goal and I have it all mapped out in my brain, why it doesn't get the end result that I expect it to. Because of a lot of things. I can't control the environment. I can't control other people. Heck, I can't even control some of the mind chatter that's going on in my own head. And some of my expectations are unrealistic. Not to mention the fact I've got a whole past of reasons that I don't deserve to have that success that I feel like I should have. And also, I chase shiny new things. I think that one of the things that we do in life is we want everything, we want it all, and we want it now. And that is a little unrealistic. I mean, just like now, we're doing business planning. And I'm going through last year and the year before last. And by the way, I'm proud to say, and I should have known this all along, but I'm proud to say that I have actually achieved the benchmarks that I set out to achieve the year before. But it was kind of by accident. I did not stay on top of it. There were a lot of barriers along the way. The market changed, the interest rate changed. We've got this election. The whole industry was evolving and changing. The buyers were changing, the sellers were changing. Everything was going along. And I felt during this entire time that I was just struggling to keep up. I always felt behind the eight ball. I always felt like exhausted because there was yet another challenge and another challenge and another challenge. How in the world do I achieve my goals if all these barriers keep happening? But what I realized, those barriers were self-inflicted. They were also of my own creation. I had to learn to get out of my own way and just deal with things as they were coming. Yes, I have dreams and goals, but stop looking at everything as a negative. Stop looking at everything and this goes with mindset. You know, you have to have a positive mindset. You have to have a feeling of no matter what comes my way, I can accomplish it instead of, geez, there's another barrier. Oh, geez, another hardship. Oh, geez, another, whatever. And thank goodness that, you and I understand this deeper than anything because we've had a lot of challenges in our life. and we still continue to have challenges. And I know anybody listening to this is having challenges and wondering why everything has to be so hard. But it doesn't have to be, as long as we get out of our own way.
Yeah, absolutely, because there are a lot of resources out there for whatever industry you're in, for whatever you're going through. There's always a resource out there to help make things more efficient. And and sometimes you really need to just tap into those rather than trying to manually do something, or the way that you're doing it right now, you see that there's issues. You know, it could be more efficient. You could have a better return as far as what you're working on. And for me as a realtor, we use databases, we use software and things like that. And
Mhm.
I found this amazing database where it has a bunch of automations where I don't have to have my hand in every single thing all the time. It'll help me follow up. It'll help with an AI assistant, things like that, where I don't need to worry about if someone is not being followed up with. Everything is
I,
being taken care of, and I don't need to control everything all at once. And I can trust the help that I'm signed up for to
mhm.
assist me in achieving those goals. And just being able to tap into something like that versus doing everything by myself and setting all these reminders for me by myself for all of my clients and my whole sphere of people who I'm helping, that's really
I know people
difficult.
are going to be asking, what is that tool? So I'm sure you're going to share that in the remarks.
Uh, yeah, I mean, if you're an agent and you're looking for a database, I honestly recommend Follow Up Boss, and I also recommend Ylopo, and I'd be happy to help you as far as like researching that and helping you through that transition process because I just changed databases and it was a whole thing. But we figured it out and it worked out, and it was definitely for the best. Highly recommend. It's way better than the one that I was using before. And so if you're looking for a new database that can help you like I've never seen before, I would highly recommend looking into it, but that's just an example, and that can be transferred into any area of someone's life. You know, like if you're a
Mhm.
parent and you have a bunch of kids and you're overwhelmed and you're like, oh my gosh, my daughter has soccer practice, my son has football, blah, blah, blah. There are so many resources out there as far as calendaring and task management. Like there's all these crazy apps now that you can download and all these systems that you can use on your phone, your computer that can help you set reminders, even just setting alarms. That always helps me. I feel like time management is always a struggle
And that's
for
part
me,
of getting out of your
but
own way.
yeah,
That's part because if you feel like you have to control everything and you don't take advantage of these resources that are out there, you are getting in your own way. You know, I
yeah.
remember when I started real estate way back in 1991, everybody said, "Oh, you have to hire an assistant," and I was like, "I can't even afford to, pay my own to feed my own self, much less feed somebody else." Um, but I had to change my mindset around that because having somebody do what they do best, like a database or an assistant or something, they can handle the organization and the skill set that I am not good at. And that freed me up to do what I do best. So again, learning how to depend and count on other people or resources gets you out of your own way so that you can be more successful. Do you know, after I hired my first assistant, my income not doubled, not tripled, but multiplied by 5 times by
Wow.
having someone in the office to handle all of the calls and the paperwork. I could not function or survive in my industry. And I venture to say in most entrepreneurs the same thing. I think you are limiting yourself by the amount of skill set because I'm only one person. But there are so many amazing, talented people out there and resources that can help you get out of your own way.
Especially when it comes to finances, because I feel that a lot of people, including me, I'm including me in this statement, is you just go months and months without maybe prioritizing shopping around on your insurance. You know, you may just not even that's like number 50 on your list of things to do, right? Like that's not even in the top 5, okay? But little things like that where you may be just dropping the ball in some areas. And if you just ask for help, you just connect with an insurance agent or something like that to just help support you and lowering your car insurance and finding affordable homeowners insurance, things like that, where you may be going months and months
Yeah.
overpaying, or maybe your coverage sucks. Like me, like maybe you just don't even realize, like, oh yeah, my car insurance doesn't help me at all. But if you just tap into people who specialize in your concern and you're like, hey,
Mhm.
I need some help. I searched around on Google for like 3 hours, found no answers to my questions. There's no harm in just asking for help. And there's no shame in that either. And I feel like a lot of us end up sabotaging our situation because we didn't ask for help. We didn't even know that there was a resource available. But that's why asking, someone in your community, a family member, a friend, a coworker, just say, hey, like, I'm having this problem and I don't really know what to do about it. And you never know. Like, they may know the perfect person to help you. And if you're just going through
Yes.
life and like you're like, "Oh, I got it. I'll fix it. I'll find the answer." I admire that. I really do. And I relate to that a lot. But you do have to get out of your own way, especially in your finances when there are financial planners, financial advisors, people that do this for a living who can help you. And your finances, I mean, a year after getting help may have that same result that Tina was talking about as far as your budget has more room in it. You have more breathing room. You have more reserves to work with.
Because I think when our mind gets clear of, because if I don't find resources to help me, I beat myself up and then I get depressed and then I don't function at my highest potential and I still don't get the job done that I need to get done and I should have got done in the first place. So it's just a vicious shame spiral that we put ourselves in that is totally unnecessary. And anybody who's out there who beats themselves up on a regular basis for not being superhuman, give it up. Give it up. Please trust me. I've done it all my life. I'm 58 years old and I'm going, oh my gosh, get out of your way. That's the reason why we're having this podcast right now, because both of us, we were talking about this and said, oh, yeah, that's definitely a topic. We have got to talk about this because even spiritual, when I pray, I'm praying for advice and guidance. I am praying that I let my guard down and that I search for the voice to to help guide me, my inner voice. And when I take the time to listen, I come to such peace and tranquility, and the answers come. The answers just come. And that's me getting out of my own way once again. And you could do it with your finances. You could do it with, any tasks that you have, your weight loss journey, your fitness, your, your anything, your spiritual journey, any goals that you have set. Sometimes you have to look at it like your own best friend instead of that mind chatter that's in your head that's beating you up saying you shoulda, shoulda, shoulda. Should is a horrible word. Should is it's demeaning, it's demoralizing. If you hear yourself saying you should, stop it. Just stop it. It was in my head right on autoplay over and over and over again. And finally I went, that's not good advice. That's not good advice. The good advice is seeking help and talking to people and getting the guidance and praying. And oh, here's the big one, take the advice, listen to the inner voice. You'll be so much more peaceful and happy and successful, and you'll lose weight. And
Yeah. Yeah. And it honestly, I mean, everything we're saying right now, the odds of somebody implementing everything all in one day is quite literally zero to
oh, I can
none.
do it.
So
Kidding.
it's like, here's something that I've been thinking about a lot is death by knowledge. You know exactly what you're supposed to be doing. You know exactly what you, here's that word, should be doing, but you don't do it.
Why?
And yeah, and it just comes back down to whether it's procrastination or you're overthinking or you may feel like you're not good enough or not smart enough or not capable enough to do it. But all you have to do is just show up for yourself. And I had to do that when I was getting my butt back in shape, when I was, running, I was going to the gym, I was eating really good, and I was just like, wow, this is a huge change, a huge shift in my lifestyle, but here we are years later, and I'm now able to reap the fruits of that labor that I put in on the front end. Because as soon as you start building those habits, it becomes part of your daily routine. It just becomes part of your life. And it's not hard anymore. It may be hard in the beginning when you're like you're running your first mile. If you haven't ran a mile before, you're like, oh my gosh, I haven't ran a mile since I was
I'm
in
gonna
middle
die.
school. Yeah.
How
Yeah. You're like, I haven't ran
do
since I was
people
in
do
gym
this? Oh
class.
my God, my knees.
Yeah. But I mean, and you don't even have to run. Like, honestly, you don't have to run. If you just want to do weight training, like, that's a great way to just start your fitness journey. And honestly, it all comes down to diet. Like, if you just start eating well, just,
Just moving.
like, yeah, if you're able to just start eating well, that's where a lot of that self-transformation begins. Because something a lot of people don't realize is you can work out as hard as you possibly can, but if your diet is bad, I mean, you're not going to make any progress, unfortunately. So it starts in the
A lot
gut.
of it is the mind too.
Yes. Yeah, it may be challenging at first when you're like, "Oh, but I love sweets." But the thing is, you don't have to stop eating sweets. You can still eat sweets. I eat chocolate all the time. But
Me too.
yeah, but I eat dark chocolate and I don't eat it like I don't eat crazy amounts of it. Like I'm at the point where some sweets are too sweet, where you can taste the, I don't know, you know when it's processed. Like I'm at
Yes.
that point where like I'm like, oh, that tastes like it went through like 20 different machines. Like that's really gross.
Have you eaten a Twinkie lately?
No, I haven't.
I had a Twinkie, I don't know, it was a couple years ago, but I remember having it when I was a kid and I thought, "Oh, a Twinkie. I didn't think they made those anymore. Oh, I remember how delicious and delectable and awesome this was." And I was like, "Oh my God, this is the nastiest thing." I even spit it out. But I had fantasized about having a Twinkie because I had, you know, because I was working out and I cut out the sugars and the complex carbs and the blah blah blah. And I had a Twinkie just because I felt like I deserved it or I earned it or whatever. And it was the nastiest thing I had in my mouth. I even spit it out.
Yeah, yeah, that's so true. I mean, I feel like you just don't realize what you're eating until you have really good nutritious food. Like if you try like making
Yeah.
something really nutritionally dense at your house and you use salt, pepper, olive oil, butter, like if you just use those things and you make something, you're going to be like, wow, this is really good. You know?
Right?
Like,
Yes.
yeah. And yes, you can eat sweets. Like I'm not saying to not do that, but moderation, right? And and you don't really have to cut out like insane food groups. Like a lot of people they're like you have to go on a diet. I'm like diets are not they don't last. They just don't.
No, just a
And
nutrition change. And stop calling
yeah.
it a diet. People say, "Oh, I'm on a diet." Don't call it a diet because that makes you feel like you're restricting, and it
Yeah.
doesn't last. It doesn't last. The
Right.
healthy, and you know what though? The problem is unfortunately the crap food is cheap, and with our economy and the amount of money that people have to pay for groceries these days makes eating healthy more difficult, especially with proteins and things like that. So you have to get creative, but again, go online. There's resources about how to eat healthy. And even if you want to eat healthy on a budget, uh, you know, uh, I mean, my gosh, peanut butter. I mean, there's all kinds of diets depending on what your dietary needs are and what your goals are. Yeah, absolutely. Get out of your own way. Stop judging what you should do and then learn how to make it work for you and get out of your own way because there's solutions. No excuses. No excuses. That's one thing I can sit here and feel sorry for myself and say, yeah, but I'm big boned or I've got this or I whatever. That's that is getting in my own way again. That's letting my self-talk stop me and self-sabotage me. So if I can get out of my own way. Oh, Robbins has an amazing book. It's the 5 second rule. And she's also got the high five habit for your self-esteem, which is really good. So she's got some really good books that you might want to check out. But I know I'm a big fan, and it has also changed the way I talk to myself. So, and I think that's important to get out of your own way because you can sit and spin there for a long time and it becomes destructive.
Yeah, just being able to self-reflect and be very
Yes.
self-aware of your reactions and your thoughts and your feelings. That definitely helped me a lot with my anxiety. When I'm in those situations where I'm feeling anxiety, I really try to think, okay, why am I feeling this? Why is this my reaction to this situation? And
Mhm.
sometimes with anxiety, I mean, you really can't do anything about it. It's you just kind of have to wait for it to pass. But it's really good just being aware of those situations that do affect it and that do induce those anxiety attacks and those moments where your heart is just beating out of your chest. You're like, oh my gosh, why is this happening? Like I'm just in in the grocery parking lot. Like what is going on right now? But your body tries to communicate with you in those moments and it's okay to just take a second and listen, you know?
Bessel van der Kolk has a book called The Body Keeps the Score. And that touches on exactly what you were saying about how different thoughts trigger different feelings and actions and reactions and anxieties and things like that. One of the best books I ever read, along with the 5 second rule and the high five habit. Really, really good resources. Again, more resources to help us get out of our own way, right?
Yeah,
So,
the Body Keeps the Score is a really, really good book. I would highly recommend that as well. And yeah, we'll definitely put links to those in the description because these topics are very dense and they get very
yes,
deep and just the podcast we're doing definitely doesn't go into the depth that these topics really deserve because these are not surface level issues. You know, these are
mhm.
issues that have roots.
They're life changing.
Yeah, these books can really help people. So we recommend them. We'll put them in the description for you, but yeah. It's just, you have to take that step of just self-discovery, really. Like just trying to figure out who am I? Why do I feel this way? What did I go through that's still affecting me today? And how can I heal from that? And that will help you in getting out of your own way by becoming more self-aware of who you are and how you can work with yourself and not against yourself to
Right.
achieve your goals.
I think that was beautifully said, Taylor.
Thank you.
Absolutely. No, really. I think I where's my microphone? Hold on, I gotta drop it. That's going to be on a t-shirt and it's going to say Taylor McLean.
We'll have to come out with some merch.
Right? There you go. Team TNT, baby. Ladies looking for a bit of self-confidence. There is a lady named Benson Chero, and she put out a book a long time ago called You Are a Badass. And this actually started me on my self-reflection journey. I think I've listened to it probably 15 times because when you have the negative chatter, you don't know you have the negative chatter until you hear the negative chatter. So learning how to hear it is a really good thing. And the self-confidence of really being able to change that inner dialogue helps you get out of your own way too. And Sincero, you are a badass. It kind of teaches you to learn how to talk good about yourself or to yourself.
This is a process, this is not you'll figure it all out
No
in a
magic
month.
bullet.
Like, yeah, this is like a lifelong process. So we just wanted to share what we know and support everybody in all the ways that we can because we're all
Life.
going through difficult things, and that may look different between our lives, but I think it's important to lean on each other in those moments, regardless, because that's what we're here for. When people are struggling, that's why community is here. We're just here to support you, and we hope that everything that we shared today helps you in
Yes.
your journey and supports you. And we just appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to us talk. So thank you very much. And definitely feel free to check out the books that we're linking in the description.
Yeah, and DM us if you want. I'll be glad to answer any questions anytime and give any resources. Same thing for Taylor, I know.
Yeah, that's why we're doing this is to support our community and not just be real estate agents because it's really important for us to listen to the community, be involved on a different level rather than just business, business, business. Like that's not that's not how
Yeah,
we roll. So, yeah, we just appreciate you. Thank you to everybody. You're the reason why we do this. So, thank you.
absolutely. Thank you.